It was one of those nasty July Saturdays, the sort where the heat is soup-like and even the birds are too exhausted to sing. I was staying indoors, drinking iced tea, when I heard the unmistakable click-clack of heels on the pavement. I looked out through the blinds and there she was, Patricia Garrison, our HOA president, storming down the sidewalk like she was going into battle. Her phone was stuck to her ear, and I could hear the terms unauthorized access and trespassing floating in the air. I grinned, because everything was going just as planned. Let's go back a few weeks. My name's Liam Thompson, and I'd recently relocated in the Riverside Meadows subdivision after taking a new position as a software engineer. The neighborhood was reminiscent of a catalog. Lined streets with trees, hedges clipped neat, and a lovely community pool. The top factor in selecting the location, particularly with summer temperatures reaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit. During my third day, I proceeded to the pool office to obtain the access key. It was where I met Patricia. She peered up from under a desk littered with color-coded binders and flashed me a smile that was all teeth and lacked any warmth. I informed her that I was a new resident requesting pool use, and she opened up to a random page in one of her binders and informed me that new residents were required to wait 90 days before they could use the pool. I asked whether that was in the HOA bylaws. She clicked the binder and replied it was standard procedure. When I insisted on a copy, she replied that the documents were currently under revision. Convenient. For the next 2 weeks, I made 3 formal requests, all rejected on outlandish grounds: missing documentation, insufficient proof of residency, and finally, a cryptic waitlist for keycards that allegedly ran months long. Then the notices of violation began coming in. My vehicle was 2 inches past the driveway line. My trash cans were visible for 37 minutes rather than 30. A potted plant on my front porch extended a half-inch above the limit. One day, I caught Patricia herself huddled behind my hedge with a measuring tape. That was when I realized that this had nothing to do with regulations. It was about control. But karma did come calling earlier than anticipated. While I was at the grocery store, I bumped into Tom Bradley, who is an older resident and a past HOA board member. Over coffee, Tom verified my suspicions. Patricia had been refusing pool use to residents she didn't get along with, inventing rules as she went along. But then Tom dropped a little golden bombshell of information. The empty lot next to the pool where overflow parking usually occurs wasn't in the HOA's control, it was city land, specifically for public use. That evening, I made telephone calls, prepared forms, and reserved a rental. My strategy was straightforward. If Patricia refused to allow me entry into the pool, I'd bring my own. The next Saturday, while Patricia was basking in her power trip, I arranged for Aqua Fun Rentals to install a huge 25-foot above-ground pool on the city lot adjacent to the HOA pool. I had everything: lounge chairs, umbrellas, drinks ice cold, music blaring at legal volumes, and a large banner that read, "Thompson's Oasis, all neighbors welcome." Permits? Plastered proudly on the fence. Setup? Totally legal. Location? Outside the HOA's jurisdiction. It wasn't long before the neighbors arrived. Then the Johnsons, then the Patels, both of whom had also been excluded from pool access. Within no time, we had 20-plus people soaking up the sun, laughing, swimming, and at last using what had seemed like their community once more. Then the squeal of tires. Patricia. She slammed her car door and stormed up to the lot, red-faced and battle-ready. She began yelling about violations and property rights before she even arrived at the gate. But when she saw the permits, her tirade ran out of steam. Then she did just what I had hoped she would. She dialed 911. She informed the dispatcher that we were trespassing and using HOA facilities illegally. Several neighbors recorded her flailing her arms and insisting the police be called. It was a scene from a suburban courtroom drama. 2 cruisers arrived. Officers Davis and Martinez got out, clearly perplexed. Patricia ran to them, muttering something about criminal trespass, hostile assemblies, and the integrity of the HOA. The officers trailed along behind her to the community pool where she struggled with her master key and opened the gate to disclose absolutely nothing. The HOA pool was empty. Meanwhile, our pool party was raging as strong over the fence. Officer Davis strode over to take a look, returned grinning, and said, "Ma'am, everything over there is perfectly legal." Patricia's face contorted into a mixture of outrage and disbelief. She insisted they close it down. Officer Martinez patiently informed her that it was on public property, all their permits were up to code, noise levels were good, and his words, "There's no law against having fun on a hot day." Mic drop. As the officers left, board member Robert Chan approached and thanked them for their time. He even apologized for the false emergency call. Then he looked straight at Patricia and said, "We'll be discussing this at the next board meeting." And boy, did they. That evening, there was an emergency meeting of the board. Patricia attempted to force through a prohibition against outside pools close to HOA property, but was immediately overruled. The board voted 6-1 to examine all pool access policies and probe claims of abuse of power. Patricia was the sole no vote. Then things really snowballed. Someone uploaded video of Patricia calling police on an empty pool as the neighborhood party went on next door. The video went viral. Local media covered it under the title, "HOA President Calls Cops on Neighborhood Pool Party, Gets Schooled in City Law." Her real estate employer was inundated with complaints. A petition calling for her removal as HOA president got well over 200 signatures, over 80% of the neighborhood. Even former supporters turned against her. It was standing room only at the special board meeting. Patricia came with an attorney, but her defamation claim disintegrated when residents brought up documented violations and proof of harassment that was purposeful. The board's legal counsel warned them that Patricia's actions had exposed the HOA to significant liability. The vote to remove her? Unanimous. She was also banned from holding any HOA position for 5 years. The lawyer whispered something about a $90,000 legal bill for the baseless lawsuits she had threatened. As she left, Patricia pointed at me, trembling, and screamed, "You've ruined everything." Security escorted her out of there, muttering on about property values and the breakdown of society. The room erupted into applause. Her reign of terror was at an end. It was standing room only at the special board meeting. Patricia came with an attorney, but her defamation claim disintegrated when residents brought up documented violations and proof of harassment that was purposeful. The board's legal counsel warned them that Patricia's actions had exposed the HOA to significant liability. The vote to remove her? Unanimous. She was also banned from holding any HOA position for 5 years. The lawyer whispered something about a $90,000 legal bill for the baseless lawsuits she had threatened. As she left, Patricia pointed at me, trembling, and screamed, "You've ruined everything." Security escorted her out of there, muttering on about property values and the breakdown of society. The room erupted into applause. Her reign of terror was at an end.